Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the chance just to share a little bit about me. And I'll be speaking about finding love at breaking point. Breaking point, by definition, is the moment of greatest strain at which someone or something gives way. So, a breaking point is a buildup of many moments, one after the other. So, what were my moments? My name is Sade. I was born and raised in London. I'm a qualified pharmacist by profession, and I've lived an interesting life. I've always tried to be a hard worker, academic, to be creative. I've been singing since I was 3 and writing songs since I was 9. I've been going to church my whole life. I've sang in choirs. I've helped to lead choirs. I was very athletic, representing my school against other schools, except from swimming. I don't swim. But you can name it, everything else, and I've probably done it. But it wasn't enough. And I didn't know what was enough. The truth is that I was empty. And it's hard to vocalize that when you're surrounded by so many friends and family. But being in a performance-based family meant that for the young girl who was doing all these things, she only felt loved when she performed well. A very conditional type of love. After being exposed to indecent sexual material at a young age, I grew up to believe that as a woman, I had to offer up my body to a man in order to feel love, to feel value, respect, worth. A very conditional type of love. And that if I didn't have anyone, or if I wasn't with a guy, then I wouldn't feel love, like I didn't have any value or worth. I was after this Disney idea of perfect love. And the more I ran after these relationships, the more and more I began to break. But I was too afraid to be alone. So I did everything in my power to make sure that I wasn't alone. I would drink and smoke to look cool. I'd wear skimpy and provocative clothing so that I would be wanted by others. I was breaking. I ended up getting pregnant when I was 19, afraid and alone. I decided to abort the pregnancy at 7 weeks. I was breaking. The same person who I had had an abortion for was actually still with his ex-girlfriend. I was breaking. I found another guy, but I ended up getting into debt because I gave him tens of thousands of pounds. Most of it was borrowed. I was breaking. When I was searching for meaning, for healing, someone came up to me and asked if I wanted to know God more. But I was my own God, and I didn't want to hear anything else. I wasn't interested. But I was still breaking. I'd smoked so much cannabis to the point that I can no longer hold a stable thought without experiencing episodes of psychosis again and again and again. I was breaking. My pursuit of perfect love had actually left me suicidal. I was almost broken. If no one is perfect, then how will I ever find perfect love? I can't even love myself fully because there's so much of me that I don't know and that I will never know. If perfect love doesn't exist in a human, then perhaps what I needed wasn't human. In my mind at that time, there was a plank. And beyond that plank, there was just darkness, empty space. It had this illusion of being very peaceful. And I was on the edge of that plank, and I wanted to jump off. But in the midst of the darkness, someone told me to walk backwards. That if I jumped, that would be the end, that I would lose my mind, and that my life was too precious to throw away. So I walked off the plank, broken. And since there was no one there physically in that moment, I knew that God was trying to protect me. This was truly my breaking point. I broke at how this man that I learned about called Jesus could love me perfectly and was perfect. I broke at the fact that this very man who was perfect was killed because of my imperfections, an unconditional type of love. Reaching breaking point meant that I was finally free to embrace God's love for me, that I was enough, that I'm worth dying for, that I am loved, that my value isn't found in my performance, my degree, my profession, or in people's opinions, but it's found in God. The love I found at breaking point is a love that truly set me free. I can look back with gratitude at my brokenness, because brokenness is really a gift.
Wow.
It cleared the way for me to have a true, deep, vulnerable relationship with God, because breaking point brought me perfect love. Thank you.
Wow.